How you are doing? How are you doing? Okay, Ezekiel Solesi is a prolific author, insightful speaker, and a serial entrepreneur, and a member of the prestigious Forbes Coaches Council. He is the co-founder of Nature Gift Products Limited, a company that makes natural soaps from pawpaw, natural fuel papaya soap. Co-founder of Smith Animation Studios Limited, one of the top 2 animation companies in Nigeria, and the CEO of Limp Simple, an organization whose acronym means life, investing, money, and business made simple. The company has a mission to provide simplified technical, inspirational, and motivational information that would enable everyday people make deliberate improvements in their lives and businesses. His activities as a speaker and facilitator spans over a variety of industries. As a business strategy consultant, he's worked over 2,004 businesses and also with some of the top companies. He also works as an executive business coach to a few elite entrepreneurs, many of whom he has worked with to exceed the 5 billion naira revenue mark. He has spoken for and trained organizations such as the Africa Achievers Award, which held at the House of Lords, United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, First Bank, Fifth Gear Consulting, Unity Bank PLC, Shell Nigeria, ECOWAS, the Presidency, Senior Special Assistant to the President Public Affairs, Nigerian Telecommunications Satellite Limited, Center for Peace and Security Africa, the Nigeria Ports Authority, NNPC, the Lagos State Government, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, P1 Group, the Nigerian Youth Conversation, to name a few, and consulted for the Society for Family Health, Abuja, and ENR, enhancing Nigeria's response to HIV and AIDS, one of the largest Department of International Development projects by the United Kingdom in the world. He is also the host of the Limp Simple's Enterprise Development Conference. He was also a guest speaker at the ECOWAS Secretariat in September 2010 in commemoration of the Nigeria at 50 program. Courses he has handled include change management, business communication, strategic planning, business strategy, team building, entrepreneurial thinking, human resource management, process engineering, to name a few. He is the author of the book, The Game of Money, which was adjudged by one of the national newspapers as being capable of making a rich man out of a poor employee who reads it, accepts the idea and practices them. He is also the author of the 10 Entrepreneurs with the Power to Change Our World. This book has adjudged the Simple Start book on entrepreneurship overrating. He was the host of the Limp Simple EDC Abuja Enterprise Development Conference in Abuja that held every month at the Conference Hilton Hotel and Hilton Suites Hotel, Abuja, and also the host of the Entrepreneur Meetup, a connection hub for aspiring, budding, and experienced entrepreneur. He currently hosts the Limp Simple Strategy Factory, a monthly strategy workshop for entrepreneurs looking to scale businesses, which holds monthly at Eco Hotel Suites. Who is ready to listen to this man? See profile now. See profile. Who is ready? So let's welcome Dr. Ezekiel Solesi. I call him Mr. Strategy. Because us is not with you. You're gonna have a nice shift. Are you sitting down to celebrate him? Stand up and celebrate him, guys.
The real estate industry is one of the very few industries that if you are serious It only takes 1 to 2 years. You can literally have a completely different life 2 years from now. And I'm talking about a life in which your earnings is excess of $1 billion. I'm telling you, it's possible. I've seen it happen. We have 45 of our clients that exceed $1 billion a year. About 25 of them are in real estate. Some of these people we're talking about are less than 20 years old. I'm telling you, there are young people, 22, 23-year-old guys that have taken this thing very seriously. And so what I want to be sharing today is what you can do to be able to access that kind of business, right? And so I hope that you would listen. And after today, we're also going to be working with, as many of us as are interested, the company would put you in a group, and we're going to work with you for 60 days. In those 60 days, every single day, I'll be dropping a message every single day. I want to share with you what I know. Let me give you this same 60-day program. I did it for a particular real estate company. They put about 400 people inside the room. And over the 90 days, so the 60-day program plus an additional 30 days of work, they were able to generate close to $7 billion in sales. You know, and everybody sold something, everybody made a lot of money. And so it's going to be your portion. In Jesus' name. Great. So let me start. So today I want to talk about how can you become mega rich? Because we are in mega. I'm on the door. We're in mega living now. So you don't want to just be rich. You have to be mega rich. Being rich is, you know, you have a car. Being mega rich is that you own the car company. Right? I have a friend of mine, one of our community members, he wants to sell his G-Wagon. And he told me, he said, if you have like 23 million, I'll sell it for you. I said, why? He said, because, you know, there was a point in my life where owning a G-Wagon was very important. Then I bought it. Then after a while, I realized that it's not that important. If you go to his car, in his car garage, he has 8 different cars. Every single one of those cars are 2022, 2023 cars. You know, so it's when you don't have something that used to shock you. There's a level of mega richness that you would have that the things that are shocking you now no longer shock you. Right? It's true now. Now, to enter a plane is shocking somebody. But when you have enough money to buy a plane, it won't matter anymore. It won't matter anymore. Right? And so, like I said, after this class, we're going to run you through a 60-day program. For these 60 days, my hope is we want to turn every one of us, and every day there's something for you to learn, and there is a small activity for you to do. In fact, to do that activity won't take you more than 15 minutes. So if you give us 15 minutes every single day for 60 days, we'll turn you into a millionaire. 60 days from now. It's just going to take 15 minutes. Now, but here's the problem with those kind of things. You see, what is simple to do is simple not to do. That's why people don't succeed. Because what makes successful people are simple things. But what is simple to do is simple not to do. Some of us in this room have made up our mind that we wake up every morning at 5 o'clock and pray. Right? How easy it is for you to do it. It's as simple as setting your alarm and waking up, right? But most people will not wake up at that time. Because even though it is a simple thing to do, it's also simple not to do. And what differentiates successful people from people that are not successful is the fact that they are willing to do the thing that must be done so that they can get the results that they want. Right? So just a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Ezekiel. I run Lim Simple. In the last 14 years, I've worked with about 4,500 businesses, and we've been able to help a couple of hundreds of them become, millionaire businesses. But we have about 45 of them that now do over $1 billion a year. Our biggest client is a company in Abuja that closed last year at 850 billion naira. Right? Yes, and there are companies that are closing 850 billion naira in sales. Yes, it's not a small, it's not that big for some people, right? And then there are companies that are, just hitting their first billion and the like. So I always like to start every class. And by the way, I was also invited to join the Forbes Coaches Council. So the Forbes Coaches Council is the most elite group of business coaches in the world. I was the fourth Nigerian to be invited into that council in 2022. That was when I was invited into the Forbes Coaches Council. So I always like to start most of my classes, asking this question: what do you really want? You see, this is important because when you ask people this question, their answers are always different. For example, if you ask a young child, what do you really want? What kind of car do you want to drive when you grow up? The child will say, I want to drive a Maserati, a G-Wagon, a Bugatti. Some nice car. How many of us would like that kind of car? Raise your hand. No angels there. Before you know raise hand now, they don't allocate you. So imagine, so when a child says that kind of thing, you will give him good advice, right? If you want to get that kind of car, you must go to school, you must get a good job, you must do well in school and all that. And so that child, he goes through all this process. He's 40 years old now. He's in his fourth job. He's earning 5 million naira a month. So he decides that, let me even check how much the Bugatti is. So he goes online, he checks, it's $3.2 million. He doesn't understand until he converts it to naira. He converts it to naira and he's looking at 4.5 billion naira for a car. You see the way she shouted? So what then happens is that they will now have a good idea. The good idea is that the purpose of a car is to take you from point A to point B. And a Toyota is not bad. So what we will now start to do is that we will now start to downgrade our dream from what we want to what we think we can get. And that's what happens to most people as they grow old, is that they start to downgrade their dreams. But the reality is this, is that the wealthy people in the world, they take what they can take, but they keep going for what they really want. Because oftentimes, you are not so far away from what you want. You're not. You just think you are. There's a book called Compound Effect. In fact, let me give you an instance. Imagine, we just finished an election cycle. Imagine, sir, bros, what's your name, sir? What's your name, sir? Emmanuel, please come. So imagine that Emmanuel, let's assume that I'm a politician, and Emmanuel helped me win an election. And now we want to reward him. In one Ghana must go, I have $5 million. Dollars, oh. Good. In one Ghana must go. In the other one, I have something called a magic penny. It's like one kobo. Right? Or let's say in one Ghana must go, I have 5 million naira. In the other Ghana must go, I have one kobo. But the thing about this one kobo is that it will double itself every day only for 30 days. After 30 days, what you see inside is what you get. Which of them will you take? The $5 million, Abi? Take it and just leave everybody, Abi? Exactly. Most people will take it, and the reason why most people will take it is that they don't understand the law of compound effects. If you take that first one, sit down please. At the end of 30 days, you would have lost 5.3 million. Because see that coin doubling itself every day for 30 days, at the end of 30 days will be 10.3 million. That's why, have you ever noticed that when you hear the success story of a successful person, there's a point at which the story doesn't make a lot of sense. You are hearing it, maybe you say, okay, I was walking on the street of Anambra, I was drinking gari, and then there will be a 2-year period under which you will not be able to explain what happened. Then he's not driving G-Wagon. The reason why is that, see that small 2-year period is the period to which the efforts start to compound. So most people, and this is the truth, most people are at most 5 years of hard work away from whatever it is they want. If you say to yourself that the next 5 years, I will do everything that I can do, I would not just everything, not just from my own sphere, I would learn, I would grow, I would become better. In 5 years' time, you will have a life that you cannot even imagine. I'm telling you. And I'm going to show you some of the things that we can do over the next 5 years. So what I always say is this: don't stop wanting what you want because of the situations around you. No. Don't stop wanting what you want. The opportunities around you, the opportunities that you can access is bigger than you can imagine. I had a significant experience just last week Friday. Last week Friday, I was in the UK. I was invited to speak at the House of Lords. Do you know what the House of Lords is? The House of Lords is like their Senate panel. Exactly. It takes 45 minutes to get into the place. Because, in fact, if you're invited to speak at the panel, you would have sent your name and the name of your guest 2-3 weeks before, because their MI6, the security infrastructure of the UK, has to do a background check. They're going to find your village and be sure that there's no problem with you. All right? And I was speaking there alongside the president of Mauritius. See, yes, I've been working hard, but I wouldn't have imagined this just a little over 3 years ago. But if you keep working hard, the opportunities will come. I'm telling you, the opportunities will come. You would sit down in a room and you would wonder how you got there. But it takes at least 5 years of hard work. But the problem is that most people can't give 5 years. They are too impatient. They can't give 5 years. I'm telling you, simple activities, you commit 5 years to it, you would literally have a completely different life. And the reason why most of us can't give 5 years is because we don't think about it properly. Right? We don't think about it properly. Imagine in 5 years, you'll be 5 years older. How many of us agree? Everybody in this room hopes to still be alive 5 years from now. Right? Yes. In 5 years, you could be alive, literally, and you could be a billionaire 5 years from now. Or you could be here 5 years from now, and they will organize another training like this, and you are here. And you are still hoping to make your first million. The difference is you. So I want to try and remind some of us of some of the things that we want. So when we ask people what they want, some people say they want financial freedom. How many of us here want financial freedom? You know what financial freedom is now? The ability to do whatever you like. Do you understand? One of my mentors, I remember one day I called him. He said, "Oh, Ezekiel, please, can we talk tomorrow? I'm about to leave the country now." I said, "Okay." So the next day, so I called him on a Tuesday. Then I called him. Then he called me back on Thursday. I said, "Oh, I'm back. I'm back in the country. Can we talk?" I said, No. Who leaves the country on Tuesday to US and he's back on Thursday? He said, "Oh, no, that he has an arrangement with the airline. He has a certain amount of money he pays them every year, and they give him 10 return tickets, business class. He only has to give them 3 hours notice." Yes. So he said he does that because there are meetings he has to attend. So somebody calls him and says, "Look, there's a meeting this night." He'll just call the airline. In 3 hours, he's in the airport, he's on the flights, he's in the UK. And when he finishes, he doesn't have any need to be there, he comes back. That is financial freedom, my brother. You get some of us when they're here now, when they will say, "Come UK." The first problem is visa. Sorry, passports. You don't have passports. If you are in this room, there are things that you do and you are communicating to God what you want in your life. How many of us here want to be successful? Raise up your hand. How many of us here believe that you'll be successful enough to go and see the world? So this next question, no reason for you, just answer it in your mind. How many of us here have a passport? So now, you don't have passports. How is God going to help you? God cannot help you because they cannot smuggle you out of this country. Right? Exactly. So that's that. I think whenever I hire any staff that I hire, the first thing I tell them to go and do is the passport. I'm telling you, anybody that I hire, we have the first thing you must do in the first 2 months. If you don't have it, it's going to be because if you don't have passports, and I tell you that, oh, if we work hard, we are traveling somewhere, you're not planning to travel with us. It means that you're not planning to work hard with us. Do you understand? So all our angel, maybe they gather, organize the travel. Your own angel, they smoke, you go somewhere. Because no, you understand? It will affect our life. So some people want financial freedom. Some people want to be able to contribute, to give to society. And giving is good. But giving is easy when you have. I mean, brother. I see our pastors, they are trying. But the reason why our pastors are working hard is because all of us are broke. I'm telling you, see, as you are now, imagine you have 5 billion in your account. You get some preach where your pastor will preach. They preach, say, give to the work of the Lord. He said, man of God, how much is the project? He says it's 200 million. He said, just tell them that the Lord has taken care of it. How many of us would like to do that one? Your men of God in Nigeria, they have too much anointing. Anointing is like oil everywhere because all of us are poor. You get, do you understand? Giving is easy when you have money. Is it not true? If you are there now, like you're in church now, if you have 100 million, Holy Spirit doesn't need to bother you too much to give somebody 5,000. Do you understand? Imagine if you're a billionaire, you're in church, you're standing next to our brother here, and our brother, as you're standing there, you're praying to God that, okay, this new administration, Father Lord, organize me to the government house. But the guy with your side now is asking God for 500,000. Say, Father Lord, that 500,000, every enemy. You go tap and say, bros, is it 500,000 your problem? Give me your account number. You send the 500,000. He said, don't thank me. Say, this is my prayer point. So that angel was supposed to help you arrange that 500,000. Reallocate him to my own. Because if you can solve somebody's problem, you solve it now. Exactly. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want good health. How many of us here know good health is not cheap? Good health is not cheap. To have good health, you must have time to exercise. Time. So, one funny thing happened to me. So now, I don't go to work on Mondays. And I'll tell you the story about how, so I like to stay at home on Mondays. And the reason why I like to stay at home on Mondays is that I used to live in an estate. And in that estate, when I'm driving out in the morning, taking my children to school, I used to see people that are jogging. This is around 7 o'clock, 7:30. People are jogging. So it always confused me, say, what do these people do for a living? Because if you are jogging at 7:30, it means that you are not supposed to be at work by 8 o'clock. Abi? At least if you are not a Yahoo boy. And if you're not supposed to be at work at 8 o'clock, it means that you don't work for somebody. And it also means that you have money. Because the estate is a very, very wealthy people estate. So that's what I started doing. So now I don't go to work on Monday. So around that 8 o'clock, it means that I will begin the job. So that I go confuse them. So as they look, they say, what does this guy do for a living? Now they are confused. That's why I don't go to work on Mondays. Right? Good health is good. Some people want to make a lot of money because they want assets. You see, the owner of this building, we don't know where he is, but he's making money. How many of us agree? Yes. And it's not for anything. We paid him money to be here. That's what assets will do for you. Assets. But so many people don't have enough money to have. How many of us would like to have enough money to have assets? I'm telling you, So some of you think that you don't manage money well. No, it's not like that. You just not had enough money. Again, there's money that you will have, you will not be able to spend it. If I call some bros, come. Let me just ask you this question. Do you have plan right now? Plan, like written down plan of how you spend 1 billion naira? But you don't write. Written down plan. Now. Person give you 1 billion now. What's going to happen?
Yeah, some plan, but not written.
If it's not written, it's not a plan. See, all of you here, you say you want money. There's money that you will have. You think you are holy. The problem is that the sin you want to commit, you can't afford it yet. And you think you are holy. You cannot afford the sin. Some of you now will have money now. There's not the money you will have. It's your pastor you will go and slap. You go and slap him. Say, Pastor, that thing you are teaching is not correct. But you now you are thinking it's not correct, but you don't have enough money to gather the courage to go and say, Pastor, I challenge you or not. Because the pastor will have to say, So some people want to have enough money to be able to have good quality education. And let me explain. If you are here and you have children, I always recommend, even if it means, scaling down your own life a little bit, put your children in the best schools you can afford. Put them in the best schools you can afford. And I'll tell you why. It's not about whether they are brilliant or not. Because there's a level at which they cannot teach your children more. But in 20 years, it would matter who your child's classmate was than it would matter whether he was even brilliant. I was in Transcorp Hilton in Abuja one day, and one lady was, when Nigeria just gather, we just find one thing to argue about. Whether it's government. So this day, it was about school. So the lady was arguing that, all these Abuja schools, they're too expensive. It's not the same wife they're teaching. In fact, I will remove my daughter. I will send her to Enugu. Normally, I don't always talk about things that doesn't concern me, but they are making a decision to send somebody to Enugu, and the person is not there to defend herself. So I said, sorry, ma'am, let me just, she said, what? I said, don't send that lady to Enugu. She said, no, it's not the same wife. I said, ma'am, because in 20 years, it will be more important for your daughter who her classmates were than it will even be whether she was brilliant. There are people today who were not brilliant in school, but they have more money than all of us put together because of the classmates they had. Give your children the best opportunity by putting them in good schools. But they cost money, isn't it? So that's why we're going to talk about how we're going to make the money. Isn't that? Because you cannot, there are schools that you cannot go by faith. You see those schools, you suppose don't get faith. That faith suppose don't get results. It's the result. Because, imagine you got me one of your friends say, I bet you get 120 million, then we need to use. So I won't pay school fees. But that your friend in charge of government secondary school. You understand? So to put your children in good schools require that you become successful. Because you cannot explain it to your neighbor. And it's very embarrassing not to be in a big school and not be able to pay school fees. Right? Exactly. But it's important. In fact, let me tell you a funny thing. I went to a private university, and at the time I went to a private university, my parents were technically homeless. We didn't have a place. I'm telling you, we're coming out of the wrong part. We didn't have a place that we were staying. We're actually staying with one of my dad's friends. But he had a particular land, and he sold it and put her and my brother in a private university. And I asked him why. He said that, you see, the situation that we are in, we will not always be in that situation. So I don't want to make a decision based on the situation that we are in, such that when we get out of the situation, I would have made a decision that would follow you for life. I'd rather lose an asset and put you in a place where if the situation changes, even if the situation doesn't change, your own life is going in a different direction, right? And looking back, was the best decision that he took, right? Because guess what? Even though he paid the first year, he couldn't pay the second year. So I had to go into business and pay the second and the third year. And the fourth year, I paid my school fees and the school fees of a friend. But remember, I was in a school where people had a lot of money to spend. Do you understand? So I went into check making, but I was in a school where somebody can pay 10,000 for a shirt. Do you understand? I started selling gadgets like PlayStation, portable, and all that, but I was in a school where somebody can pay 40K, 50K for those gadgets. So even if I started business, if I was not in that environment, I wouldn't have been able to make the kind of money I made. So it was important to put me in that environment in the first place, isn't it? Exactly. So some people want to make a lot of money because they want to retire in style. And retiring in style is something that I need to explain. Because many of us have gotten to a point where, some of us are old enough to know here, and some of us are young, but I do a lot of training in banks and all that. So when you ask them how you plan your retirement, they say the pension fund will take care of it. And it's okay to plan with the pension fund, but it's more important to understand what you're getting. So let me explain. Imagine if you have a job, you work in the ministry and the likes. How many of us here have worked in the ministry before, or you currently work in the ministry? You don't want nobody here works. How many of us have had a job before in any organization? Good. So imagine if you have a job and your job allows you to put away 50,000 every month to your retirement plan. Now, if you work in the ministry, that's like level 12, 13, 14 type situation, right? So you have to have worked hard. Now, 50,000 every month is 600,000 a year. 600,000 a year is you put that into a retirement plan and you find a retirement company to pay you 10% guaranteed interest. It's more like 4%, but let's say you get 10%. And you can do that for 20 years. In 20 years, you will have 32.2 million in your retirement account. How many of us would like to have that? 32.2 million. Beautiful, isn't it? But there's a small problem. Robert Kiyosaki said that there are three sides to every story. There's the side you are told, there's the side you believe, and then there's the truth. How many of us want to hear the truth? The truth is that you would have 32 million. The question they are hoping you would not ask is, what would 32 million naira be worth 20 years from now? And I can help you answer that question. To answer that question, we need to go back to the past. Let's go back to a year like 1985. Thank God there are people old enough to know here. In 1985, if my father had 3,500, he could buy a brand new car, true of us. Like original brand new, not all this one that they are now saying tear rubber. We put rubber on top to Kumboka. No. It's brand new. B2, 504, something. Right? Good. So he now decides to save that money every year, and he does that for 20 years. By the same calculation that brought about our 32 million, right? He would have 224,600, which is a lot from 3.5, but he will get that money in 2005. 2005, 224,600. Would that buy him a brand new car? Would that buy him a fairly used car? He won't even buy him a useless car in 2005. You know why? Because experts say this, that even though saving is a good habit, it's a very bad strategy. Because you are saving something that is losing value faster than it is gaining numbers. So you are saving, the money is going up, but the value of that money is coming down. Right? And that's why I always tell people, and this is very important for those of us in real estate. I tell people, it is better to save your money for an investment than to save it as an investment. Save your money, buy a land, it is better. If you save your money and keep it in the bank, you will wake up 20 years from now and realize that you have worked very hard in a system that has worked very hard against you. I'm telling you. So anytime, if you have any of your friends, tell them to save money and use it to buy something. Buy a land, buy a business, buy something. Right? Now once you figure that one out, I want to ask us one question. How many of us here have a biro and a paper? Because we're going to do a quick activity. Because, the reason why many of us are not working hard is because we don't know how much money we need. And I have come here today to come and help you know how much money you are looking for in this life. I'm sure you think you know, but if you give me 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'll take you through a test now, and both of us will find out together. It will shock most of you. Most of you will not finish this test I'm about to show you, because maybe in between you have like high blood pressure, stroke, hypertension. But if you can go through that process, I can guarantee you that if we did that activity and you went through it, even if I said nothing else, you will make more money this year than you made last year. No, it's not amen. This one is a serious matter. You don't need amen for this matter. So how many of us are ready? You want to do this? There's a test I'm going to show you. If you are ready, raise up your hand. Good. So take your biro and a paper. I want you to write. So I'm going to turn on the next slide. Don't write anything. I'll walk you through every single thing. The first thing is, most of us here pay rent. Abi? Good. So your rent, most of us in Nigeria, your rent is annual, isn't it? I want you to take that annual figure and divide it by 12 so that you can write down how much the rent is due monthly. So let's say your rent is 600,000. You won't write 600,000, you write 50,000, because that's 600 divided by 12, right? Let's say your rent is 5 million. Divide that by 12 and you write down the number. So how many of us have written our rent? Yes or yes? Even if it's your husband that is paying the rent, write it. Because after this meeting, we will go home and go and do UN Security Council meeting with your husband. I'm telling you. Have you written it? Good. The next thing is transportation. Now, most of us, there's a certain amount we spend every day on transportation. Maybe you're entering bus, maybe like 1,000, Abi, or 2,000, because now things don't get as to be now. So if you spend maybe 2,000 on transport every day, that's about 60,000 in a month. If you have a car and you fuel your car maybe every week, maybe with 20,000 or 30,000, depending on what it is, so you multiply that by 4, right? Good. So write down your transportation. Transportation. Every single day of the week. How much do you spend? Next is, how many of us have gotten transportation? Raise up your hand. Say yes. Yes. Now, I want you to notice that as we are going down the line, the yes will be reducing. Because anybody beside you that did not say yes, check him whether it's still okay, because he might have like high blood pressure, hypertension, so maybe we can help him. The next thing is utilities. So under utilities, there are different things. We spend money on light, Abi. There's a light bill, right? Write down how much you spend on light bill. Most of us live in a gated environment or on the streets where you spend money on service charge or security levy or waste bill. I don't know what it's called there. Or what else do we spend money on? Sanitation, security. You pay for water here? Help me understand. What kind of water are you talking about? But borrow now. You buy from borrow. Okay. Then cable TV. Many of us have like maybe Go TV, have you? DSTV. Some of you here have Netflix. Write down how much you spend on it. I want to help you find where all your money is. Some of you here, you think that is a devil that is eating your money. By the time we are done today, we'll find out that you and devil, you are collaborating. So have we written down utilities? Next is food stuff. So next is food. Now this food is not, this first one is not food stuff. It's for those of us that always go out to eat somewhere close to your house. One mama put somewhere 500 to 2K. It always arrange them for corner exactly. There's 25 working days in the month. Write it out. But the next one is groceries. So groceries is the food stuff in your house. Food stuff, toiletries, the whole thing. For most of you, if you are married with children, this is maybe the second or the third biggest budget in your house, right? Because it's food stuff, is toiletries, is everything that you typically spend money on in your house. So how many of us have gotten there? You have gotten to food stuff. Raise up your hand. Say yes. Yes. If you have stopped, say yes. Okay, nobody has stopped yet. Next is school fees. So under school fees, this is how we're going to do school fees. Most of you, your children are still in maybe secondary school and below, right? So you pay school fees 3 times a year, isn't it? So what you're going to do for me is that you're going to add the 3 terms together. That will give you the total. Then divide that number by 12. So let's say first term is 50K, second term is 100K, third term is 100K. That's 250,000, I mean. Then divide that 250,000 by 12. That will give you about 20,000 thereabout. So, and then you do that for each child. There's no buy one get one free. Is there buy one get one free school in Anambra? Because if you say it's there, but don't move. All right. So have we done that? School fees, and you do that for every child. If you don't have children, it's okay. The Lord has delivered you from school fees. How many of us have gotten to school fees? Say yes. Good. Next is personal expenses. So this is how much you spend. It's not a lot of money. Maybe for ladies, your manicure, pedicure, Brazilian hair, or Anambra hair, whichever one really wear. Clothes, aṣọ-ẹbí that you do, aṣọ-ẹbí on a weekly basis. You get some of us who they do aṣọ-ẹbí. Like me now, I know they do aṣọ-ẹbí. If you go on my page, you see I'm always wearing uniform. And I have 2 white native. One of them is a normal one, the other one is Agbada. If you invite me for anything in this life, I will enter one of the 2 white natives and come. I don't wear it, I used to enter the native. I'm becoming. I'm telling you, my grandfather died. They said I should buy a shebu. I told my mom, I said, so which one do you want? Do you want the Agbada white or the normal? Because Ashebi is a serious matter. Next is childcare expense. So childcare expense is how much you spend on your child that is not school fees. So maybe if you have like extra lesson, or these days, because of how much money is inside football now, all of us are putting our children in a football academy. And even me, I put my child for football academy. Because it's the kind of money they're making there. You think if I have a son that is collecting 500,000 pounds, you think I'll be here? No more. If you want to give up, give up. I've moved on to other things, So I registered my son for football academy. They said we could buy boots, 45K we buy. They said we could buy a t-shirt, we could buy everything. And I carry him to the academy. Me and his mother, we came because both of us want to be there when his football career started. So we did there. We put him in the match. By the time he kicked the ball the first time, me and his mother look at ourselves and say, this boy cannot make it. No. So I tell the coach, say, coach, put him as keeper. At least keeper, they don't make plenty money, but at least their career they long. I just put him cover. There's not any kind of goal that they did not score. People score any. I say, Kai, this boy doesn't have a future in football. So we now say, if he cannot do football, let's register him for computer lesson. So maybe he can code. At least if you know if you collect 100,000 pounds per week, You go collect crypto money. And crypto money still dey alright. So for some of us, next is communication. How much you spend on airtime? How much you spend on data? Write it down. Bisola, water. After airtime and data, the next one is giving. I know most of you think that your giving is spontaneous, but just sort of calculate. It's not spontaneous. If you check the last 3 months, it's the same thing. Just write it down. Have you gotten to giving? Then lastly is other expense. So anything that I have not mentioned, maybe you have a house help, maybe you travel abroad all the time, because your life is sweet. Whatever the case is, I want you to write it down. When you finish writing it, I want you to add up everything that you have written. Because everything you have written is your monthly expense. Yeah, add it up. All of us that are here, we all registered for this meeting, Abi. Did you register? Is your number there? If your number is there, we'll send you the slides. You'll get the slides on WhatsApp. So no worries, you'll get it. No problem. Oh yeah, add it now. Be adding it now. Carry calculator and add. When you finish adding it, don't tell me what you wrote or what you got. Just look at me in the face and let me know how life is doing you. If I added it, Abi, it shock yourself, Abi. If you added it well, it will shock you. How many of us have added it up and it's shocking you? Your shocking is shocked, eh? The reason why we don't see it is because they don't show up at the same time. So what I just helped you to do is to harmonize it into monthly figures. See, what experts tell us is that any month you don't make that amount of money in commission, you're in trouble. But for you to be financially safe, you must make twice of that amount every month. Twice. So how many of us, you're looking at the number that you have written now, and you can tell me boldly that you make 2 times of that amount every month in commission? Raise up your hand. You see that all of us were in trouble. In fact, some of us here, the money that you wrote down, you don't even make that amount every month in commission. Talk less of 2 times. True or true? Good.